There are situations where you may want to assemble things to specific reference within a subassembly, um, and still have the components put into a top level. So in this particular example, and this may be different in your case, but in this example, we have a grill here that has some named references for these coordinate systems. And those are actually part of a speaker assembly. So you see the grill here. And we have two sub-assemblies in this larger assembly. And we want to basically, let's say, add some screws to these things. And we want to add them to every location that's in this. So the way we're going to do this to get these at the root level is we're going to just come in and do a table model assemble root all, or assemble all root. And this takes a table as an input. And what the all root does is instead of assembling them into the subassembly, it's going to use that as a reference and place the components at the top level that we currently have active. So if you wanted to put those into the speaker assembly themselves, you would open the speaker, make it active, then do an assemble operation like you normally would. An assemble or assemble all root would work the same. In this case, we're specifically targeting these two and components within them as our references, but we want the parts to actually assemble here. So this is going to require these table columns, so item name, source coordinate system, target model, target CSIS. And I've already set that table up. It's currently called my table. So what we're going to put into this is we're going to put some screws in. So we're going to say screw.prt. And if we open up the screw.prt, I'm just going to use the generic here. You'll see that there's a screw reference in there for the coordinate system name. So I'm going to use screw. And then my target model is going to be grill.prt. And as we saw at the beginning of this, it has some coordinate system names that have screw 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to use that as a wildcard reference for this. So we're just going to put in a table. My table is going to be the input reference that we have. And then we're just going to do a regenerate on the final assembly here. So when we run this, you'll notice that it's popping those screws into the root level of this assembly that's here, but it's also referencing these sub-assemblies here. So if we zoom in on this, you'll notice that those screws were placed at those locations on top of each grill. So that's basically how it works. You can, of course, like we said, we use a wildcard on this. And this is quite handy for situations where you have patterns or things that are dynamic and references that are in subassemblies that you want to use. And that's where the wildcarding comes in, becomes very handy. But you can also do it using the results of a Power Query or just specifically naming things out by loading them into a CSV file and then referencing that as a table import into Excel also.